Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Exploring Avatar. Thank you for everybody that's here. But of course, this time we finally have Drew back. So, Drew, how are you doing, man?
Yo, yo. Doing good, Jerry. How are you?
Good, man. Good, man. Our first podcast together in 2023. So, last week I was writing solo, but it was still tons of fun just interacting with everybody. But yeah, man, we're finally together again. And today we actually got, so the pictures of the Hot Toys coming out for the Avatar franchise. So we got two figures to go through. We got tons of pictures. But of course, first, let's shout out a couple people in the chat. As always, Brianna Brown, Afton Child, Christina, uh, random user. Thank you for showing up. Hello to everybody. And how are
It's
you
good to
guys
see you
doing?
guys. It feels like it's been forever since I've seen everybody.
Really has. I was back last week, but I'm still getting used to it again. So thank you for joining us either this morning or tonight, whatever time it is for you guys. Tell us how you've been. How's your week? And especially in terms of Avatar, how's it going? Any more showings of the movie that you guys have seen? But Brianna Brown, just toys. I mean, that's the news that came out today. But of course, we're just gonna kind of talk, talk other stuff that is, anything you guys want to chat about. It's kind of open mic, so we'll kind of treat this as a open mic episode where you're getting back into the groove, and of course, more structured and topic filled ones to come. But let's kind of just hang out. But yeah, man. We've been waiting for these Hot Toys for a while. I think they teased it. I think at some point in December, maybe close to the movie, or maybe even after. Right? I think it was a little shortly after that we got that initial tease of these Hot Toys, and I know we've been waiting for them because we love what Hot Toys has put out. I think some people might not know what Hot Toys even is, so we'll kind of go through that. But yeah, man. How's the new year treating you so far, Drew?
Not bad. I don't believe I've actually seen Avatar in theaters in the new year, but I mean, that's okay. I feel like I've been busy. And then last week I was supposed to join you and I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour before the show, I caught a case of the podcast flu maybe. I don't know. Got feeling pretty bad for about 24 hours, and so I'm just glad to be able to be back on with you, man.
Well, that's
I haven't done a
awesome.
lot Avatar lately. I did get Volume 2 in finally from the high ground. But apart from that, yeah, not a lot of new Avatar stuff in my life. What about you?
Similar. I don't. Yeah, in 2023, I haven't seen it again, but I intend to at least get a couple more in before it heads out of theaters. I know somebody here in the chat, Christina, saying that around them they extended the IMAX showings. They've IMAX showings have been extended. I'm gonna see if I can go tomorrow. Normal showings seem to be done though. Oh, really? Wow, where are you at? Just so that we kind of get a feel for that, because I believe it's still gonna have at least here in the U.S. I don't know if you're just in a different state or a different country, but it should run well into February. Up until Ant-Man 3 comes out, so it should still be pretty good around this state. Oh, okay. She's in Portugal, so that explains it. But yeah, it's sad that it's going away soon for you. So yeah, hopefully you can get another showing in before it's done. But yeah, in terms of Avatar, not too much. It's been pretty crazy. We had the holidays, the New Year rolled over, so still just making sure, and then work has been busy. But other than that, trying to dive more into those books, read more of the lore. So I hope we can cover that in future videos as well, both the art book and the visual dictionary, because they're filled with like so much information, and it's pretty awesome. It's incredible. I wish we kind of got similar books like right after that first one. Especially something like the visual dictionary would have been amazing back in the day. But yeah, man. So not too much, but hopefully get back into the groove of things. But hey, I'm excited that these pictures came out of the upcoming the Hot Toys. I mean, they're pretty far off, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, and you mentioned
It's
the art of Avatar. I couldn't believe how much information that book had. Like all of the photos, and that didn't really surprise me so much, but the amount of just information in there was actually really surprised me. It's a great book.
Yeah, for sure. Especially even just the quality of the art. Like I've always loved the the concept art for the Avatar franchise, especially of course only the first movie at the time, and the few we had gotten beforehand for Avatar 2. But man, the art in here is incredible. It, like, doesn't disappoint. Uh, yeah, it's like can't wait to show you guys more. We'll try to when we cover certain topics from the books. We obviously will try to take good pictures of the art and everything. There's no digital copies of these, so it'll be trying to get the best pics that we can, like photographing the actual pages of the book, trying to get the art for you guys. But yeah, man, and like you said, the information there, coupled with, because I love it. I love with the art book, you kind of get like the brainstorming and how all the concepts and the design of everything like came together, and you even see some concepts that didn't make it through. But then you have the visual dictionary, which gives you the finalized, like, this is what's the actual lore. So it's great to have both books to kind of look and compare them. But we have Brianna Brown here that says, "Have you seen the video where Jim said the narrator for Avatar 3 is Loak?" Oh no, I hadn't caught that video. But I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because it seems like the baton will be passed to Loak as like the next maybe central protagonist, if you want to kind of say that. You know what I mean? At least I get that feeling. And Christina says she got the books. They arrived in the mail earlier this week. But yeah, that's actually what do you think about that? About Loak being the narrator for the third Avatar movie?
I hadn't heard that either, so that's news to me. Uh, I'm kind of neutral on it, I guess. I'm not really super excited, not really disappointed. That's interesting. I
Yeah.
wonder why, since Jake has always been the narrator. But like, I'm definitely not going to throw shade at it. I mean, I'm sure there's a good reason for it. So I have a hard time getting too excited for Avatar 3 at this point because, I mean, honestly, I just waited 13 years for Avatar 2. So I'm still just kind of like in the Avatar 2 bubble, I guess. I haven't really turned
No,
any attention at all to Avatar 3.
you're still on the Avatar 2 high right now. You're like, I'm still on this one. I can't even really fully think about the third one yet. I get it. I get it.
And I will say that I am surprised to hear that, though. I really assumed Jake would probably narrate all the way through. So it'll be interesting to see why that is. Or maybe
Yeah,
James has already said why. I don't know.
exactly. Because there was the theory that I've mentioned here, and I've mentioned to you as well, where I kind of had the theory that everything that Jake was saying, both in the first movie, the second, and even those, his little inner monologue boxes in the high ground, they kind of made it seem like it was like, he was talking from further down, like in the future, like if he had already gone through the time of the great sorrow and now he's like recounting it. So like you said, that does surprise me. It's interesting that now it'll change to Loak. So once we get into the whole, theorizing soon, it'd be interesting to see, does that mean, at some point, it can mean Jake doesn't make it to the end. And so now that's why the narrator has to be Loak. And if he'll be just present tense uh narrating, or will it kind of like that also seem like he's recounting something. It'll be interesting.
It is interesting. One thing that I kind of didn't like, just hearing that, was the more that the children are involved, I think a little bit less that I feel connected with Avatar. Um, for me, it's always going to be about Jake and Neytiri. So I think at some point, the farther away they get from that, kind of bums me out a little bit, to be honest.
Drew reluctant to change, but hey,
Well,
they
I
could win you over.
spent. Oh yeah, and I don't think it's going to be bad or anything like that. But we
Yeah.
spent 13 years with just Avatar, so that's what we had for so long. So still a little odd. I mean, I love Avatar too. Don't get me wrong, but hearing stuff like that kind of makes me a little bit uneasy.
Yeah, and honestly, I could probably. I mean, we obviously weren't around, but it could be a similar feeling to maybe what some people thought at the time when Star Wars was starting. Like, can you imagine if you had only seen that first one, and then how basically the Star Wars universe just kind of like most of the things we know now came from either Episode 5 or 6, or maybe even the prequels, where it once we get further removed, like you said, further away from just the first movie, uh, probably for a lot of people, recently now, it will be elements of the sequels that they think of first, rather than just everything we knew from that first one. That, like you said, for 13 years, that's all we had. So that's probably a thing where it's going to be this massive change where all of a sudden they're going to introduce so many new elements and characters and things that might just for people jumping into it now, they'll automatically think of those things, either those dialogue lines or characters or story elements. So it'll be interesting to see how the first one plays once we get the saga, like what it kind of will seem like watching that one again. You know what I mean? Now that we will know
Yeah, for
all
sure.
these new elements.
For sure. And like you said, especially to like newer fans, or younger fans who weren't around for those 13 years of fandom, yeah, they're going to have a totally different outlook and take than some of the older fans who've waited so long for Avatar 2.
Exactly. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to see the story just kind of unfold. But like I was talking to you before we even did this podcast, where I love that now he kind of explains it more, that it's going to be taking the structure of episodic television, and that's how these will kind of play out. And I was kind of pointing out to you that it does still seem like with that first movie, you really had like a whole, like it kind of was the full meal in one movie, where now he's structuring these sequels into and like that, like thinking like episodic television. So you're not going to get the full meal right away. So Avatar 2, it's kind of more, it's another appetizer, and even 3 will be another appetizer, he says, until you finally get, those big ones in 4 and 5. So it'll be interesting as well to see these play out and kind of just build, to that crescendo that is the final 2 movies. That at least now we can breathe a sigh of relief that we know for sure they're gonna come. So we know we got 4 and 5 in the bag, and pretty much I think that's what me and you said. We're like, as long as we get those confirmed and greenlit, we're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think we've both talked about this off air, but I'm confident that we will get Avatar 3 here in a couple years on schedule. As long as nothing crazy happens like COVID. I mean, something totally unforeseen, of course. But, barring anything crazy, I think we will get it in a couple years. But I do worry a little bit about 4 and 5, just how long they'll take. I don't know. I hope I don't end up in a nursing home before they come out. But that remains to be seen.
Yeah, you know what? I'm starting to think more and more that we won't get 4 until 2028. Like the year that we were supposed to get 5, or was it 5? Yeah, 5. I think that'll be the year we'll finally get 4. Because now I'm hearing rumors. I mean, this I know people here don't follow Star Wars, but in like the Star Wars rumor land, is that they're gonna soon announce 3 movies. And a wild theory right now is that the release dates for those are gonna be December's of 25, 26, and 27. That you'll crazily have 3 of them like literally 1 year after another for 3 years straight, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I hope, unlike the sequel trilogy, they actually plan these out, please. Especially if you're just going to really do like one after the other. But I'm now wondering if internally they know, hey, we'll have those free, those 3 Decembers free, because they kind of internally know we probably ain't going to get Avatar 4 until at least December of 2028. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, like we've talked about, like they've talked about, like everybody knows they're not going to put them out at the same time and essentially compete
No,
against each other.
exactly. I mean, people that aren't in the know of what studios own what properties, they're just like, oh, whatever, put them out same time. But I mean, the people that know, like us and everybody in our bubble, that Disney pretty much, it doesn't own the Avatar franchise, but you know what I mean. It owns Fox, which had the deal, so pretty much they're the ones that are going to distribute it. And obviously, like you said, the closest they'll have to something that's similar to them is the way they did it this year with, their heavy Marvel hitter in November, early November, and then their, Avatar in like late December. So they're definitely not going to do 2 science fiction properties, 2 of their big franchises in the same year, let alone in like the same month. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting if that turns out to be true. And it wouldn't surprise me because, I mean, we know how James Cameron is. He's going to want to push technology. He's never satisfied with simply sitting still and just making the same type movies over and over. He always wants to improve. So it'll be cool what he comes up with. Hopefully, it's not years and years. There's not a huge gap. I mean, a few years, I don't think anybody would mind. But hopefully, not like a 10, 13-year gap again.
yeah, please no. I mean, at least a lot of the heavy lifting, even though they aren't shot, at least a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to, pre-production on a movie is obviously you need, writing it and actually having finalized scripts. So at least they already have all that done. So it is just getting to shoot them, but that in itself, you know, it could take a year to 2 years depending on how everybody's schedule works out and everything. So let alone all the, year to 2 years of post production that each movie's going to need to, look the way Avatar 2 looked. I mean, that right there will require like 2 years of post production, which is why I believe even Avatar 3, they're probably going to still be working on that, just like this one, like right up until like they literally had to deliver it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, man, let's get into some of these pictures. So we got 2 figures from Hot Toys that we'll go over. Let me pull them up here. So we'll start with Jake. So here's our first one. And these, if anybody's wondering, well, we should probably start with their little star, the specs. So these are 6 scale figures. So for anybody that's wondering, these are going to be a lot bigger, a lot taller than the McFarlane toys. I believe this one, see it says right there, 45 centimeters. So if you convert that to inches, that's like a little under 18 inches. So that is pretty big. When you think of the recent McFarlane ones that we got, they are what, 7 inches for the Navi and between 4 to 5 for the human Quaritch.
Yeah,
So
right in there.
So this will have at least like another 10 inches on the Navis that McFarlane is putting out right now. So here it says, I need you to be strong, strong heart. The line from Jake Sully. James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water is bringing the ultimate cinematic experience to audiences following the events of the first movie. I mean, we know this, blah, blah, blah. So, along with the release of the movie, Sideshow and Hot Toys are proud to present the Jake Sully 6-scale collectible figure with specially crafted LED light up diorama base, which we can see right there, a little bit lit up on the plants. Available with the deluxe version only, inspired by the marine habitat of Pandora. The screen accurate collectible figure stands about 45 centimeters tall, is skillfully crafted based on the appearance of Jake Sully in Avatar: The Way of Water, features a newly developed head sculpt with highly detailed hair sculpture with fabric hair implantation, delicate paintworks capturing facial and body patterns with luminous reflective effects. Carefully designed outfit with armbands, gauntlets, all sculpted iconic weapons and accessories such as the axe, rifle, dagger, grenade, and headset. Moreover, the deluxe version includes a remarkable diorama base translating elements of underwater world and beautiful reefs with LED light up function powered by USB. Thank God for that. They used to make them battery powered for the longest time. That battery would die within like 45 seconds, bringing the full display effect to a magnificent level. So, recreate the world of Pandora with the stunning Jake Sully figure. So, that's our little description of it. So, let's start going through it. I mean, and I think it's incredible. If you guys look at these, usually what Hot Toys does is a lot of these, like, things that are meant to be fabric, they usually are fabric, things like that in like clothes and attire. And they're just like really, they're just the best, but you also pay the price, of course. So these aren't going to come cheap. But I mean, I love the head sculpt already. I do think this really looks like Jake. Like right off the bat, what are your first thoughts on the figure, Drew?
Well, I have the first one that they released for the first movie, which they only put out Jake Sully. It was in his warrior attire from the final battle, so looked freaking awesome. Um, I will say this, that I actually prefer that one to this one, and that's not a knock on this one at all. It's just there was a lot more going on that original one. Like I felt like the design was just cooler. Um, but this looks great. Like you said, that face sculpt. I mean, spot on. Jake looks great. Um, it looks like they kind of are going to still be using that same rubbery skin texture, which is actually really cool. Looks great. It feels great in hand. Like you can see the pores of the skin. Really cool stuff. Those eyes look like an improvement over the first one. And honestly, the first one, I felt like the eyes kind of brought it to life. So it
Yeah,
looks like they're even better now, which is really cool. It looks great. Um, I don't know that like, and I'm talking money, not an issue. I don't know that I would get this one, having the first one, but I will say this, like the first one is like one of, if not my favorite Avatar collectibles. So these are super cool in hand. Like Jerry was saying, it looks like maybe it's all just kind of cast plastic, but no, like they use all sorts of materials to bring this to life, to be as realistic as possible. So they feel great in hand. I mean, they're kind of delicate, but they're just next level.
exactly. Like things that are supposed to be leather, they kind of do like like a pleather. Um, but yeah, it's incredible. Like you could tell the little there's cloth there at the bottom. It's actually going to be soft goods right there. Um, all those leathery things are going to feel like it. The straps on the in between his little the ammo cases are actually going to feel you know like real real straps and everything. So it looks like incredible. And like you said, the face sculpt, the eyes, everything. I mean, these, the poses you can have in these are amazing and so lifelike. I'll go through
Like
more
yeah, like you
pictures
were
as we
saying, like
go.
if he has beads on, like it'll be an actual small bead. Like feathers are actual small feathers. Like it's really cool.
Exactly. And I missed out on that first one that you're talking about. And I think I agree. Like, whereas you were saying you prefer that first one, I think what it was that makes that one more exciting to me is it's that attire that he has for the final battle, and it's just awesome because you got that amazing the face paint that he has going on, his whole outfit with all those feathers because he has all those feathers going down the hair, right? And
Yeah,
all of those are like tiny little feathers, like it's crazy. So I wish we would have gotten something like that here, but I still like it. I still think like you said, the little quality of life improvements they've made over the years just makes it look that much more realistic. Obviously you're still going to see some the joints right there. It's easier to hide when you look at what they make in terms of like Star Wars figures or Marvel figures, characters that wear a lot of clothes, because it's easy. You don't really see all the the joints and things. And they do make them with some of the characters with what they call seamless arms, so you won't get right there where you see the joints, the cut off of the joints there on the elbows and things like that. So you'll literally have a seamless arm that you can fold and bend, but over time if you leave it in a certain like position with their arms folded, like they'll start kind of, I hear they start creasing or cracking there, like the elbows and things like that. But so you kind of want to keep them in like neutral poses. I think they just did it with the She-Hulk figure they revealed. They gave her seamless arms, so it really looks, for people that are excited for She-Hulk, it really looks, like She-Hulk on the arms and everything. You don't get the joint cutoffs right there, but I mean, to get the posability with something, when you think of like the Navi, I mean, they're so agile, they're so limber. You want that posability, you don't want to be restricted by seamless arms and legs. So
yeah, and so the seamless ones I've always heard eventually crack too. Is have you heard the same?
yeah,
Or do you have
yeah,
any?
exactly. Yeah, you have to just be really careful. I know you have to, I think people put some stuff on them in order to hopefully prevent them from that. And I think they just say you have to limit, your crazy poses on them. I do love that
I've seen a
base, like
couple
that little.
of comments here, people talking about the hair. It almost looks like this hair might be a plastic. The one on the original one wasn't. The hair that's molded to the top of the head was, but then what's coming off that wasn't. So I'm not for sure how they pulled this one off or not,
If
but it
I
looks
go
like they.
back, let's see here. If we go back to the description, it says it's newly developed head sculpt with highly detailed hair sculpture with fabric hair implantation. I don't know what that exactly means. I think it means like it's sculpted hair, but I'm like, did they use fabric, like a fabric hair, and then they just kind of like rooted those in? You know what I mean? So you can kind of get like that dread feel right there. I don't know. It still looks great though. Like I still love the look of the hair because I know for a lot of the female figures over the years they were doing a lot of like that like rooted hair. Like I think the closest I can compare it to is kind of like the Barbie doll hair. You know what I mean? But now with female
Nah,
figures they
man,
have
I
started to
don't
do.
play with a lot of Barbies.
I know, but I just mean like they transitioned to giving females like sculpted hair, and I think that looks so much better because obviously you don't want that Barbie looking hair on your like super costly, highly detailed figures. So I love that they've gone
Yeah,
more for sculpted all around.
I agree, and I pulled down mine just because I mean it's been a while since I studied the hair on it, and yeah, the hair that's like the mohawk part that's on top of his head, similar to what he has here. It's just straight
Yeah.
up sculpted on plastic, and then they embedded the braids into that, so it's kind of seamless into an actual, you know, more of a material type. So probably the same they did with the dreads. They probably just have a material that they made them out of and kind of seamlessly implanted into the plastic head.
Yeah. Yep. Man, it looks great though. Like this shot, the head sculpt right here is just incredible. I mean, look at that, the eyebrows, everything. Like you said, the pores. Man, that's insane. Let's see here.
Yeah,
We
it's one
got
of those things like they are expensive. I don't think we've talked about the price yet, but it's one of those things where if you were on the fence about wanting like a high end collectible, I would recommend this over any statue just because you can move it around a little bit. I mean, to me,
yeah,
that's it's kind of like way more fun than a statue.
exactly. Because you can still with these, basically, you get like the best of both worlds. You get the highly detailed look of because statues, they get really spot on. I even think Hot Toys sometimes gets more spot on than even just like statue companies. But like you said, it's kind of like a high end statue that you can pose to different poses. Yes, obviously, like I said, with these, especially because they don't have a lot of clothes, you're going to see like the joints here and there on the knees and elbows. But other than that, they look, incredible. And like you said, you can pose it every new day. You wake up, put it in a brand new pose. And then you can keep that pose for a few days, a week, just a day, whatever. So like that, always have fun with them, get creative. Like you can get super creative with these poses. But what you were saying the price, so let's bring up the price for Jake. And it is $380.
And that
But
is for the one with the light up base, right?
yeah, so this is the price for the deluxe. So if you see there that this is the deluxe version where you do get the LED USB, a light up base, which thankfully it's not battery powered because trust me, it's like batteries you can't really, it's those hard batteries to replace. So this literally you just plug it in, charge it up again, and boom, you can have that on throughout at night. Especially for Hot Toys, if you have like those the detofs from IKEA, like those glass cabinets, they look great in there. I don't know if I'd have to measure out if he would even fit in one of those shelves, but I believe so. I believe he will because I have some of those detof cabinets from IKEA. So they give you, I believe, about four shelves, and they're if you guys haven't seen them, they're great. They're just like see through, just like glass, shelves. So like any collectibles that you have, they just look great. You just arranging them there on the four different shelves, whether it's like Hot Toys or pops or whatever you collect. But yeah, so 380, and the expected ship date is between January to June of 2024. So it's expensive, but you got time. It's not like you have to drop this 380 right now. You literally have like about at least a year, maybe even a year and a half. And usually they delay these, to be honest. So you probably have about 2 years.
Well, and they also offer a payment plan. So if you wanted to throw down a little bit of money today, I believe it's a $38 deposit, which goes directly towards the figure. But
Yes,
then starting in August and running August of 2023, so this year, and running until January of 2024, it's $57 a month for the deluxe figure.
exactly. And I would say for this, I mean, unless obviously you have all the money in the world to burn, if you're looking for like I just want one figure to represent Jake from Avatar 2 or something like that instead of buying all these other ones like McFarlane or things like that, if you just want one to be really high end and represent that for you in your collection, then yeah, by all means, this will definitely be worth it. I mean, and like we stated in the beginning, it's like I said, they're 45 centimeters, so this is going to be about close to 18 inches tall. So this is a big boy. This is a bigger than a foot. So you get your money's worth. Like we said, like everything is really the screen accuracy is incredible. The skin texture, the likenesses, things like that, the attire and fabric. So, but yeah, but we also got Neytiri, which you said, with that first movie, we only got Jake, right? We did not get Neytiri.
Yeah, actually, back in the day, after the first movie, Hot Toys kind of had a website. I believe it may have been all in Japanese at that time, but they had a poll about who people wanted to see, and Neytiri actually won. So we were kind of under the impression we were going to get Jake and Neytiri, but that never happened, which, as you can tell, it takes a while to get these out. Maybe by the time they could have got her designed and out, they didn't think it would be feasible anymore. So this is actually the first time we get Neytiri from Hot Toys. So I'm really excited about that. Been waiting a long time to see what this would look like.
Yeah, exactly. And so we got our glamour shots here of Neytiri. So at least, even if these are the only two in the line, they do, like you said, at least they finally gave you both, Jake and Neytiri, not just one. And I mean, I think she looks great. There's a probably a I don't I wouldn't call it a complaint, but like think the head sculpt to me, it could be improved a little bit. And also maybe it has to do with the expression that they chose. And then I believe you also pointed out some details with the bow, but we get a clearer shot of that in other pictures. But yeah, it's incredible. Like we said, all those little, like you get her song chord right there, if you can tell. And like Drew was saying, that's gonna be like literally you can, grab that song chord and all the little beads like will feel like their own beads. Her tunic right there, her other little attire elements, the top, everything, all the details in her hair, the beads, hanging down with her hair, like that'll be like it's awesome. What's your first impression of Neytiri here?
For me, like the body, the clothing, everything like that, spot on, awesome. Hair looks great. The bow kills me because it's so tiny. Like the scale on
Yeah.
it is incredibly far off. But one of those things I could look past. The thing that I disliked the most was just really the expression that they chose to convey. And I mean, it's spot on when she's super upset and Natam is dead. She's out for vengeance. Like, that is the face she was making through a lot of it. But, like, that just seems like a tough moment to choose to put into plastic form for me. Like, maybe she didn't have to sit there and be smiling, but man, that's an intense, very unhappy face. Like, I guess I was hoping for maybe a little more neutral or even on the happier side, perhaps. But so
Exactly.
yeah, I would actually like to see them choose a different face, honestly. But the sculpt is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like you said, I think it's more like that. It's just more quibbles with the actual expression that they chose. But in terms of like the quality for the expression they chose, it does look like Neytiri. Like you said, that looks like Christina Garcia says right here, they went with the determined, they just killed my son expression. And if
Yeah,
that's what you were
absolutely.
going for, like you said, that definitely does translate. And that's definitely the look she gives towards that, the finale of the movie. But like you said, it's kind of more just like hoping that maybe just a little more neutral, because even Jake's is a little more neutral. It's not so angry or, intense looking. It's a little more neutral. So kind of wish they went a little bit, in the similar vein, but the quality though, we can't complain about the actual quality. It looks like, look at that. That looks incredible. The detail in the
It
hair,
does.
the sculpt in the hair, and like you said, I think what happens there is like the top of it is like fully sculpted, and I think what it is that once it goes down towards the neck and further down, then it's gonna be like ones that you can feel, kind of like dreads that you can feel. It kind of looks like they plugged those in, like you were saying. So it looks seamless, but yeah, you can feel the ones towards the bottom. They're not going to be fully hard, I don't believe, hard plastic like that sculpted. But it looks great.
And I think since I got Jake, which I believe I want to say he came out in 2011. At least that's when I got mine from Sideshow. The eyes, like they'll have the plastic or whatever they're made of eyes, and then they have a layer of clear over them, so it really just it brings them to life. It really makes them look real. I mean, it's pretty fantastic. So I'd love to see what they've come up with to make that even to the next level, because those eyes look awesome to me.
Exactly. And like they do state, just so everybody knows, like these aren't final product photos. Like uh usually sometimes they improve on the prototypes because these are just prototypes. So sometimes they improve on the head sculpt from the time you first saw it as a prototype to the final product that you're going to get. And even elements like this, like I'm sure if enough people complain, they'll make the size of the bow accurate. They'll enlarge it a bit. And who knows, maybe they could even potentially change her expression a bit by the time it gets closer to release. So, but other than that, like
Yeah,
you're
and I
saying,
mean,
like it's flawless.
I'm gonna reach out to Hot Toys and just share with them what I like and the few things that I don't like, and that's not meant to like disparage them in any way. But like Jerry was saying, a lot of times companies put this stuff out. I mean, she's over a year from being in our hands, if not a year and a half. So you can let them know things you like, don't like. They might know, they might realize, hey, we know the bow's too small, but this is what we had to work with right now. Or, I mean, a lot of times they're very aware of what they're doing. It's just sometimes maybe they think that'll pass. That's good enough. But if they hear what fans think, a lot of times, if it aligns with what they also think and what their vision is, they'll change things. So don't be afraid to reach out and let them know what you like or don't like.
Exactly. And then, because like that, I'm sure they've gotten like official, asset photos and things like that from Lightstorm and Disney. But like that with the bow, it could have been just something where like the asset photo didn't 100% tell you like what the measurement 100% would be, to make it completely size accurate. So I'm sure little things like that, especially from hearing it, in comments and things like that, they can easily change that. I that doesn't seem anything that's 100% set in stone and they can never fix. So I assume that at least the size of the bow will be uh, worked out by the time the final product gets in our hands. But here we get a closer look at the base, and I'm loving it, dude. I love the little, it easily just screams, Pandoran Reef, so I like it.
It screams SpongeBob SquarePants to me. I feel like I'm at the bottom of the ocean. But no, dude, that's awesome. I love that there's the option because honestly, the basic base is pretty cool too. I mean, it doesn't compare to this, but for just a standard regular base, it's not bad at all. So if you wanted to save yourself whatever it is, $50 or whatever, like it's pretty cool too.
Yeah. But I mean, if you do want to go all out, this doesn't look bad at all. It looks pretty great. And like we've mentioned, it's USB, so you can recharge it. Just plug it into a USB port, and there you go. You can keep turning it on overnight. Have your display looking awesome because not only will this light up, but they also said the little, their dots are gonna light up as well on their bodies. So that'll be a pretty good looking display once you get them in hand. And here we go with another tease of the figures and the banshees. And guys, one they're also notorious sometimes for teasing things that they never actually 100% go through with. Like you said, they've teased a Neytiri figure that first time, never came to pass. I'm gonna say, I mean, they'll surprise me if they do release them, but I'm gonna say that they will not release the banshees, especially if we already see the figures themselves are 380. Can you imagine the price of the banshee? Not only that, the size of these banshees. Uh, I have no room for them.
Yeah, because if you have the McFarlane Banshees or either one from the 7-inch scale, I mean, they're hard to display just because they're so long, they're so wide. Like you've got to have a big shelf just to find room for them. So something that a 18-inch figure could sit on and be this small, like it would be like the size of my kitchen table. I'd need to put that just one of them on. Like even if
Exactly.
I wanted, like that's just not something that would be feasible for me. But they look awesome. Like I'm glad they created these, even if they just use them for photos. But if people can buy them, that would be sick. But yeah, that won't be me.
Yeah, it's. I know right now they are displaying them in what they call, in in China, because Hot Toys is a Chinese company, so they're on display right now at Secret Base, and it's like a place where they show off, like in person. You can go and look at figures like this that they've shown you prototypes of, and you can go and actually see these prototypes in person. And they are displaying them sitting on the banshees. So I'll have to like watch a video or something and really see what size you know they are. But you gotta imagine at least like 2 feet in length, or probably even bigger. Because like you said, those McFarlane Toys ones, if you got the 7-inch scale ones, those are massive. So like you said, to hold some, and that's to hold a 7-inch figure, 18-inch figure. Wow, that's like people are saying in the chat, that'll be, yeah, probably close to 1,000. Maybe you're looking at 600 to 700, I would say, at least, like for each banshee. So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised even at that price. If they did make them, there would be people that buy them. But
Oh yeah, like
I just
yeah,
from the sheer size, like I don't have anywhere to put something that big.
exactly. Like I think right now they just released the DeLorean from Back to the Future in the 1/6 scale. That would be
Wow.
awesome to have, but that's gonna take up that DeLorean's gonna be the size of your coffee table, and I think it was close to like $1,000. So I mean, but
Wow.
imagine all the accuracy on like in the DeLorean, like inside, outside, but that's that's a lot.
Yeah, Hot Toys is a very unique and cool company in my opinion because the level of detail that they go to is truly just next level. Like don't get me wrong, like the McFarlane figures look amazing and they're actually really really good for the price point and the size. But like these aren't just scaled up figures. I mean, these are so good. Like they literally feel like, like Jake, it feels like actual skin in your hand. So I mean, it is cool. They're cool figures.
Like you can see right there. Like guys, look at the strap, like the left strap on Jake. Like you can tell right there, that's soft goods on that. That's a actual like fabric strap inside of the fabric strap. Like you see that? Like that
Yeah,
is
with little
incredible. And that,
stitching and everything.
yeah, like it's the the stitching, like the precision you have to do, because a lot of these are, these are hand sculpted as well. Like the faces are hand sculpted. Like so, you're paying for a product that you're not going to find at your local Walmart or Target. Like they make finite amounts of these figures, and when they're gone, they're gone. And for Hot Toys, there's a big like aftermarket, like a basically if you miss out on a figure, it's probably gonna it could double in price by the time if you're looking at it, like on eBay or something after the main sites are gone, because yeah, so they'll skyrocket in price if you don't get it at this. So if 380 seems bad, imagine like $500-$600 per figure. But like this, they are, like Drew was saying, they give you stuff that your normal figure that you see at the store, what you think of figures. Because honestly, not until I like the first Hot Toys I saw was a Hot Toys for the Heath Ledger Joker back in the day, before even I think it was around the time I saw the first Avatar movie, or maybe the following year. But and it like blew my mind, and like that it's 380, but you're not going to get this anywhere else, and it's going to be a cool, like a super unique display piece. Like Drew was saying, his Jake is probably one of the best things in his collection. So you're going to get your money's worth, I think.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I was going back and looking at my sideshow collection since we're talking about it, because when I first heard 380, I was like, "Gosh, that's so much money," and it is. It still is.
It
But I
still
was
is.
wondering what I paid for Jake Sully, in 2011, and it was $314.99. So it was $315 back then. I didn't remember that. I thought it was quite a bit cheaper than that. So honestly,
Really?
like with as cool as that deluxe base is and stuff, the price really isn't out of line at all.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm surprised because I thought there would be a bigger gap in terms of like, what, 10 plus years later? Because I don't remember exactly when that first one released. Was it like a year or two after the movie? I think something like that, right?
I ordered it on July 19th, 2011. Let me see if it tells
Wow.
me when it shipped. I mean, I don't know if I ordered it like literally the day it came out. I mean, I don't remember. It doesn't tell me when it shipped. It's been too long, but so yeah, I would assume it probably shipped shortly thereafter.
But yeah, you know what? It makes sense because I think around that time, the average, 12-inch, because usually the average six scale figure for your normal characters from Star Wars, Marvel, things like that, they're around 12 inches because it's the normal human proportions. Obviously, these are bigger than human, so that's why they're closer to the 18-inch. And things like Thanos, things like that. Obviously, they're also in that 18-inch mark because they're bigger than the normal human. And I think the normal 12-inch size was like around the 200 mark. So it kind of makes sense that you paid around 299 to 300. I still thought it would be a little less, maybe 250 to 260, something like that. But they are the at the 18-inch range, so it makes sense that they would be more than what they were averaging for their normal size characters at the time.
And I saw someone in the chat mention, like why pre-order this thing? It doesn't come out for a year and a half, but it's like what Jerry touched on. Um, I don't see a number listed for like how many of the deluxe they're making, but it will be a finite amount, and it will be less than the regular edition. And one of these days you'll get on here and they'll just be sold out. I mean, that's just how Hot Toys works. So if you did want one, even though they don't actually start charging you until August, like now's the time to jump on them.
And a way, if you don't want to commit to a payment plan, what you can do is they give you the option on sideshow.com, which is where it's where I pulled these pictures from, and it's the US distributor for Hot Toys, like for us over here in the United States. It's the one I would use. There are other third party places you can buy them, but the one that's officially associated with Hot Toys is Sideshow, And that's where I would go, honestly, just to have the peace of mind, because these are all imported as well. Um, they do offer for you to do the initial down payment and not set up a payment plan for the rest. What you can do is choose the option of, make the rest of it at one time when it's ready to ship. So like that, if it potentially does get delayed, or even if it doesn't, you don't really have to worry about any of that other portion of your figure, like money wise, until they're gonna ship it, which could be like that either January or June of 2024 if it's on time. So if you don't want to start a payment plan, in August of this year, aside from the initial down payment of $38, you could do that. And just to yourself, you can just commit, like, think, be responsible and make your own type of, like, set money aside every now and then, but while not having to give it to them, like you were saying, that much ahead of time. So all you really have to gamble is your $38. It's not really gamble. I mean, the only thing you have to give now would be 38, and all you have to choose is the option of, I'm going to make the rest of the payment at the time that it's going to ship. You just have to have the money at the time that it's going to ship, in 2024 for the rest of it. So those are your options.
Yeah, and that's a good point because I mean, this could be longer than a year and a half. I mean, you never know with this stuff. So if you're just good with money or whatever, or can set some aside, you could start it now, not wait till August. So you could set aside less every month. So that's a
Exactly.
good point, Jerry. And really, that's the way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So that's the way I would do it if I was going to pre-order, like that. You secure that they don't disappear, like you secured yours, so that if in a few months, people snag all these up, you secured yours for $38, and you don't have to worry about any of the rest of the price until, whenever, if it's 2024, or, God forbid it gets delayed, by like 6 months or something, maybe beginning of 2025. So you you might even see Avatar 3 before you get these figures in hand. It's possible.
Yeah, yeah, you never know. I'll never
Um,
quite understand why they don't start on these a little earlier than they do and get them out a little closer to the time, but it's just kind of one of those things. It just takes a while to get these out. They're like this with every property.
yeah, and I think the reason is that, like we just pointed out, they have other properties. They have so many properties, but like we were saying, these are kind of like, a lot of this is hand, like it's hand. At least when they were first doing it, it's hand sculpted, things like that. A lot of this stuff is just, you can't just run it by, a lot of it by just like, in a production line. So, and to get it to this quality, it probably takes time, especially when you're handling so many different franchises like they are, offering so many different characters, where for each one, you got to make sure that you're delivering 100%, because people are paying, a big price for them. So, but yeah, but somebody's saying, I hope they make Quaritch. Some people are saying some of the kids. I mean, hey, a Quaritch. The day they announced the Quaritch, I would put my $38 down that same day.
Are you talking about like Quaritch Recom or Quaritch
Yeah, like
Human?
Recom. Yeah, like Recom Core. Hey, if they want to go back to Avatar 1 and give us a couple of those figures, I'll take a human Quaritch as well, and some other characters from the first one. But yeah, Recom Quaritch. I want a Recom Quaritch, and give me two head sculpts, because sometimes they do that. Give me like a neutral, and you have to give me like a, Quaritch doing that, the snarl or whatever. What do you call the you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure, sure, I do, Jerry. Uh, I'll just
When he
pretend I know
does.
exactly me. No, I know what you're talking about. I'm just giving you a hard time.
But yeah, that one would be day one. I'm plopping down that $38.
Well, the way they're going, they would make Quaritch with a happy smile on his face to offset Jake and Neytiri's sadness and anger. Give
But
me Z Dog blowing a bubble, and that's a day one purchase for me.
give me give me the whole Recom squad for Quaritch and all his Recom
Yes.
squad, and that would be like an awesome display. Wow, that would take up like an entire like actual freaking bookshelf to display all those figures like side by side, and then the height too. Jesus, almost freaking 18 inches. But yeah, that would be a sight to see, the actual Recom squad that got all obliterated. Like, I hope at least one of them made it. If not, then maybe we'll just see them come back, I guess.
Yeah, that will be interesting. If we get some more recoms to join Quaritch, or if that whole recon project is just kind of over now. Besides him,
Exactly, because I do want him to address that, because I don't want it to be a thing where, like, in terms of the recoms, you have no stakes, because you can know you'll know, oh, they'll just bring him back. I hope they explained, no, this is like a one and done, or maybe if they bring him back one more time, something happens, we're like, oh wow, this will be the last one. Something gets corrupted or something, or they mess with the stuff, because I don't want him to just be able to keep coming back and keep coming back, because then you could do the same thing to Quaritch. You know what I mean?
yeah, it really kind of devalues everybody in the franchise if they're able to just keep coming back, keep coming back. So I really, since we know Quaritch is kind of going to be through the whole rest of the series, like I don't want to see him die and come back again.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll do that, because he's James Cameron has talked a lot about making sure there actually is stakes in this saga. So for people hoping Netayam will come back, he's not coming back. It sucks. We're gonna experience loss, especially if people are really attached to certain characters. But it gives you those stakes that I think you need, and that you would want. To really feel like there's peril, and like your characters are really in danger, not knowing from one movie in the saga to the next, like who's gonna actually still make it all the way to the end. Like movie 5, is the family going to be missing another couple members, or just one, or how's it going to be? It sucks, but it's necessary. Christina here says, have Recom Quaritch, have him do the "I'll be nice once, then I won't" face.
I like it.
Hey, that's a good face. That's a good face. Give me those wide eyes.
That's classic.
Oh man, Recom Quaritch does have he has memorable lines in this movie, but like that, he had like memorable expressions to me, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna need like multiple different head sculpts. Oh man.
It's hard to hate Quaritch as much as you should, just because Stephen Lang is such a good actor.
Exactly. No, for like literally throughout the whole thing, like I had a smile on my face when he was saying certain lines, like that one right there, like "I'll be nice once, then I won't." Eat Navi, did not. It's like just certain. It's like you love to love to hate him, or hate that you love him. You know what I mean? It's just it's one of those relationships right there.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Brianna Brown says, "I'll just use Neytiri to kill him again." Juan says, like we were saying, you want the characters to evolve and learn. And like I was saying the last stream, because you weren't here, Drew, I was saying that, and it's not just going to be like, okay, this character's dead, we're moving on, whatever. They're just, it's not that. It's gonna be. It's not just the stakes of who will survive, but then you got to think it's the each death, whether if it's the Sully family or even a big supporting character, it's always gonna mean something as well. Like I believe the death of Netayam will be felt, especially like I was explaining to them last time. Like I feel it'll be felt by Loak. Like Loak's gonna carry that with him, and he's gonna feel, I believe, an immense amount of guilt, and that's gonna be, a journey that he's gonna go on. So it's not something where like, oh yeah, that just happened in the second movie, kind of throwaway. It'll be like it wasn't just impactful for that movie, but I think each death, no matter who it is, will be felt, throughout the entire saga. Especially that image right there where you saw Loak look down and he had Netayam's blood like on his hands. I think that really represents that he'll think, his Netayam's death was on his hands. It's his fault. So, and it mirrors the Payakan story, where he's an outcast because they feel. I mean, no matter if it's just him getting those Tulkuns or those Navi to fight back, the fact that they died, those Tulkuns and the Navi, they pinned those deaths on him. So he's living also with the same thing, So they're gonna have like a mirror like journey going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Loak not listening and doing what he should have been doing did contribute to that death too. So, in my opinion, he is at fault partially.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll be something like they were just saying, they'll he'll it'll just help him in his journey going forward. So Netayam will be an important part, whether it was while Netayam was alive and what he learned from Netayam, even though at the time maybe he, was trying not to take things from him. I think whether it was when Netayam was alive or at his death, I think it's just gonna infer Loak's journey and make him better for it. So like they were saying, he'll evolve and learn. So it'll just be part of his character arc. And Misfits here just says, just confirmed my order. So that's awesome. Congratulations. And was it for just one of the figures or both? Just let us know on that one. And Brianna Brown, exactly what we were talking about. He won't come back, but his death will make the family stronger. Exactly. Exactly. So even if, they don't all make it, it just it'll just make the journey of the family, that much more incredible, and it'll make them stronger as a unit as each movie goes on, I believe. So, like you said, the biggest gift and curse was that the family sticks together. Oh, I did want your answer on this, Drew, or what you thought of this. Because Christina says maybe they have more soldiers still being grown in tanks, so he has a team again. I thought so. If I remember that shot when they're first showing them taking out of
Sorry,
the.
cut out there a bit, Jerry. Are you referencing what Christina said here? Maybe they have more soldiers still being grown in tanks, so he has a team
Oh
again.
yeah, exactly. Because I thought I had that shot in the movie when you see them like first taking them out of the tanks after the journey. I thought I saw a lot more recon bodies, or was I just kind of imagining that?
I would be honest, I need to see it again. There's so much I'm sure I've still just haven't seen in only two viewings. So, hey, that's something I'll have to
Exactly.
look for next time. But no, I mean, I trust you. If you saw that, that makes sense too. Doesn't make sense to only have one little group if they can grow that. Why not more?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think I only caught that in my second viewing, and I could be wrong. It could have been the exact amount that his squad was. Because in my first viewing, I was just concentrating on the recon body that was like closest to the viewer, like closest to the camera, and they were kind of like vacuuming all the like gobbledygook off of it. And then in my second viewing and third viewing, I was like looking more in the background, and I saw a lot more recon bodies. But yeah, people in the chat, let me know. Did you also see a lot more than just the amount that made up the team of Quaritch, or am I kind of just tripping here? Brianna Brown says maybe in Avatar 3 there will be thousands of recoms. I don't know if I want thousands of recoms, but you never know. Drew, are you drinking in Pandora?
I am not, but I'm honored that you'd think I am. I don't know drinking, but he seems like a really cool dude. But no, that's not me.
No, the drinking in Pandora is Jay. He's my good friend Jay. This is Drew from Avatar Sea of Blue. There's a lot of Avatar channels out there. But no, that's Jay, and this is Drew. But shout out to Jay. He's awesome. Love that guy.
Question for the chat, too. Do you guys still want us to go back and cover Volume 2 of The High Ground since we never got to it?
Yeah, I think I've seen in the comments to some of these, like people asking if we were gonna cover Volume 2. I think in one stream we'll have to do it. Whether it's right away or if we go right now more towards all the information we have in the visual dictionary and the art book first. I guess that's for the people in the chat to decide. Let's see. Juan says, I've seen a video of how Quaritch is just angry, compared to the villains with a deep philosophy asking the characters. I don't 100% get that one. Do you get that comment?
No, I don't fully follow how it's worded there at the end. Can you elaborate a little bit on that one, Gal?
Yeah. Christina says, trying to clone Tom Sully for psychological torture for Jake could be interesting. Yeah, I've seen that theory floating around a little bit, and I don't know. I think I'd be good without the whole like that, like just trying to do a clone of his, brother, just to, kind of hurt Jake and think like psychologically, things like that. I don't know. Would that be something that would interest you?
Avatar 3, Attack of the Clones. Boy, it'd be quite the shock for Jake for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's something I want to see, but I mean, I agree that would be very, very hard on Jake. Probably Neytiri as well, and the whole family.
Yeah. Oh man, now you just made me think that all the future Recom squad would just be like Tamora Morrison, the actor that they use for all the clones in Star Wars, and the actor that plays Boba Fett.
Django.
And Django. Oh man, hey, I love you. Gotta love Tamora Morrison, man. I didn't like the Book of Boba Fett show, but at least he was still good. I didn't realize Netayam bled out so much. Yeah, and another detail, when it comes to that, did you notice that early on in the movie, there's that detail in the beginning of the movie when they take down the train and they're getting the guns, and Loak kind of, convinces Netayam to go with him and join him to whatever. They're there grabbing the guns, and then there's that explosion, and Netayam gets knocked down. Do you notice that the first thing Jake does when he goes to Netayam is he lifts him up and he checks his back to see if like a puncture went through his chest? Did you notice that?
Uh huh.
And then
I
he does the
honestly don't
same
recall.
thing towards the end of the movie. He does the same thing. The first thing he does is he lifts his upper body up. He checks the back, and this time it did go through. So it's like I don't think I mentioned it in the previous streams, but that's another little detail there that because as soon as he sees that, then that's when he knows like it's game over. I forget the like what words he uses right after. I think he says like shit or sorry, whatever you do. Uh, something like that. But he knows that it's a done deal. So he probably knows to always. I don't know. It's from his military background and everything. The first check to see if there's a puncture wound like through the body. But yeah, if when next time you watch it, look out for that little detail where he lifts his upper body up and he checks both times to see if a wound went through his body.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like he's looking for an exit wound, like from a bullet passing
Exactly.
through him? Is that
Yes, the exit wound.
okay?
Yeah. So he does that in the beginning of the
If I
movie, and
noticed
obviously,
that, I don't remember, but yeah, that's something I will keep my eye on as well. There's got to be so many things that I've just like missed or haven't even like registered as I've seen them.
there's the rewatchability right there, man. That's what these movies like. I'm sure months, years later, we'll still find like tiny little details. You know, I mean, those are like probably seem like big details, but I'm sure there's tons of even finer details that'll take a lot of like home viewings to really nail down and see. But that's one that when I did see it and notice it, I was like, oh yeah, the checking of the exit wound. Ask him, does he like the new Jake collectible better or the one he has now? I think Drew said he likes the one he has now from the first movie, and it's the one, and he looks. I don't know if I have it on here from a previous stream. I'll try to find it, but it's in his battle attire from the final battle of the first movie, right?
Yeah, it is. So I mean, his hair is kind of similar. You know, he has the mohawk going on, but more braids than dreads. And then he's got
Yeah,
the cummerbund on, the knife, the grenades, the gun that he has. So yeah, it's just like he has a lot more going on. It feels like, I guess, with the body paint and everything too. Plus, he has the visor he wears when he's riding Taruk. So um, I'm not gonna say like the figure is better, but I prefer the look better. The new one looks outstanding, but yeah, I do. I think if I had them side by side, I would probably choose the one that I have again.
yeah. But I forgot I didn't put this one up here. So here's everything you're gonna get, and everything in that basically just the diorama base with the LED lights is the deluxe version exclusive. But here's everything you get, and you even get the little, like you said, the earpiece right there for the throat comms that they have. So you will get that. You get the knife, axe, interchangeable hands. You get the armbands, things like that, fully detailed. You get the gun, his customized gun with the wood stock. You get the ammo pouches and everything, looking great. But yeah, man. And then let's see the full thing for Neytiri. Where's that at?
One thing I've noticed on both of these and the one that I have from Avatar 1, I feel like their tails are too short.
Oh wow. Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, it does look pretty short, especially right there where you can see like from the back. It does. Yeah, you're right. It does look a little
Yeah,
little short.
It's the same size on my Jake. It looks a little bit comical in person, but I mean, it's just a little detail.
Yeah. Huh. Let's see. My hope for the third is to give moments and time for the new and established characters from the second and flesh them out. For sure. And speaking of fleshing out, Drew and I have talked out of stream where, we hope even just the home and the village and, all the islands of the Metkayina are even more fleshed out. Because it's crazy. Like when I think back on the movie, I had mentioned to Drew how very little of the village I think we saw, unless I'm mistaken. But it's just a few homes. But like the art book just details. They thought of public spaces. They it's fully mapped out and everything. But we didn't explore much of it, or the islands themselves, like inland. We didn't explore much of like what the islands themselves have to offer. We were mostly just like, right there at the borders of the water or in the ocean, but didn't fully explore much of the islands themselves. But yeah, I hope especially the like Ronal and Tonowari get more fleshed out and see more of them because they kind of disappear during that final, during the climax of the movie. Pretty much all the Metkayina kind of disappear after that. It's just the Sully family on the Sea Dragon.
Misfits comment there. How do you guys think Tarsum's story will play out in the rest of Avatar 3 and 4? The guy Jake gave up leadership to, referring to the new leader of the Metkayina clan. That's something I hadn't really thought of, but until you asked the question, so I don't really have an answer for you. But I do hope that we see more of him and see more of the Metkayina clan, and I imagine at some point we will. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens with him and the clan, or if Jake and Neytiri or any of them ever go back.
Yeah, that's one where I don't know if it was in the last stream I touched on it, but I think some people have asked me that in the comments on certain videos, and I don't see them going back to the Metkayina and trying to seek leadership anymore. I think that that ship has passed, and I think with him fully passing it on to that the new Olo Ektan of the Metkayina, I don't see Jake or any other member going back and trying to retake the throne, if you will, or the leadership roles. So I really think it will just be I maybe a member of the Sully family will one day rejoin the Metkayina in full and just call that their home for the rest of their days. But I think for a large part of the family, I think, obviously with Loak, his new environment is with the Metkayina and the water. That's where he's thriving. And who knows, maybe some of these other environments that we're yet to meet will be like the environment for certain members of the Soli family. And they'll really like, spread out and globalize and fill out different regions of Pandora with like a Soli family member. Like plant, you plant one in like each region or different regions, things like that. But yeah, no, I don't. I pretty much think he's just gonna play out that role of the Olo Ekdan and pass it to whoever they deem, whether it's his further line of succession or whoever they choose next.
The Jake going back and being the leader again would be if Tarsum was killed or something really bad happened and they asked him back. I don't think he's ever going to make that decision to go back and try to, reinsert himself or anything. But maybe they'll need him again. Maybe not to the point of Taruk Makto, maybe so, but I could see them needing him to come back and help him out at some point. And depending on where his kids have gone in the meantime, how him and Neytiri are, or if they're both still kicking, I mean, maybe it'll be an opportunity for him to go back. But to me, that's the only way I see him going back.
Yeah, exactly. Because like they state in the movie, he technically by the laws he was only able to pass it on if he was technically dead. So um, pretty much for him and Neytiri, that's just not something they're gonna be anymore. Like I don't think she's gonna be the Sahik for the Metkayina anymore. Even though she was the Sahik in training under Moat for that time span in between the movies, I think that that's off the table now.
Yeah, and I think that, played a huge role in her was that in leaving the cat to begin with. Because, I mean, they weren't just leaving for months. Like, Neytiri understood the seriousness of them kind of renouncing their membership and moving on for their family.
Yeah, exactly. And so here Juan Gao asks, I wonder why they'd spread out. Since we know there will be new environments, it now can't just be the RDA, since with Cameron's tease on the Ash people. I think right there it's just gonna kind of show us that even the Navi themselves, we've seen it in the comics, especially with further members of Sute's family that we come to know in the comics, that not all Navi are 100% good, just like the movies have kind of depicted, and not all the humans are 100% bad. Since I mean, obviously we have characters like Norm and Max Patel, things like that, other scientists that have their avatars. But it'll just give us that, showing us that even some Navi clans, for whatever reasons, we still don't know what reasons yet, can have their own ill intentions. But I also think the reason to spread out is mostly because I feel, like I've said, it's going to take the unity of Pandora as a whole or something to really hit this strike at the Bridgehead City. Because if you see that, we also didn't see much of it, so I hope to see a lot more, and then learn more about it through the movie itself as well, not just the books, to see more of it. But that, especially if you read the books, they pretty much have it on lockdown. Like it's gonna be, that's the new Death Star for the Avatar franchise. That's the big thing, and I think it's gonna take a lot of different clans from a lot of different regions to even have a shot. At least that's my theory. But yeah, we'll kind of wrap this episode up here, guys. Thanks for all the interaction, and in the next one we're going to start diving into a few topics from the art book and a few topics from the visual dictionary. So we'll bring up the pictures and give you all, read all the the writing that's in them, so present you guys with new lore. So I've made some videos already on the channel, but we're going to bring them here and talk about them, not the ones that I've already done videos of. So we'll bring you new material. If there's any specific ones you guys want, leave them in the comment section of this stream, and we'll make sure to bring those out. But yeah, we're going to try to do a few from the art book and a few from the visual dictionary in one stream to kind of give equal billing to both books. So we'll look at some of the design process on certain things, as well as give you the final look and lore and all these little bits of information. Like to tease one, we'll go into it in full in the next episode, but it's with Norm, like in the visual dictionary with Norm on his 2-page spread. we learned that actually the Olongi clan don't even exist anymore. They're the ones you see in the final battle in the first movie. They're the ones that are with the dire horses. Um, they got, apparently it states there in the visual dictionary, which it's news to a lot of us. They got completely wiped out during the final battle of the first movie, and the few survivors that the clan did have got integrated into the Metkayina. And you learn a lot of this by looking at the gear that Norm's avatar wears, because he has like his satchel is designed to look like you know the saddle on the dire horses from the Olongi clan. His necklace has items from the Olongi clan. So he has a lot of elements. I mean, let's not forget he did ride with the Olongi clan at the end of the first movie. So he has some attachment to that. But I did not know that, because I had not read that in any of the comics. That, I think that's brand new information, that there is no more Olongi clan. So that is like super interesting right there. And it also states, and like I said, we'll cover this, we'll show you pictures and we'll read the text officially, in the next stream. But it also states he did, save his avatar body. So those deleted scenes where his avatar body died, they're not canon. It says he did go after, coming back in his human form, and you see him heading out again. He actually goes to his avatar body, and it says that he brings a trauma kit and he's able to save the avatar body before it fully bleeds out. So he managed to save it, and that's why he still has an avatar body in the second movie. So it's just little interesting things like that are in the visual dictionary. A sentence here, a paragraph here. It's just super interesting, and it's all these little details that no matter how many times you watch, you'll watch the second movie, you'll never get these little bits of information. So we'll start going through things like that with you guys, in the next stream, both design wise, how they got there, and then final lore and pictures and stuff like that from the visual dictionary. So hopefully you guys are into that stuff. But yeah, so we'll go into all of that in the next stream. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this stream. And so that'll be it for us in this episode. Thank you so much. So goodbye to Brianna Brown, Afton Child, Christina, Juan Gao. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week with all that information and all those pictures. So see you guys then. Take care.